The True Value Open finalists are Mike Taylor in the number 5 spot. He goes for his first PBA title. Randy Harvey of South Bend, Indiana is the local favorite. Big Steve Cook has qualified 3rd. He's in search of his 13th championship. Gary Dickinson, the 44-year-old Oklahoman, hasn't won since '83. And Ron Palombi Jr. is in the number 1 position. A win would give him the $21,000 first prize. It's the PBA Fall Tour on NBC Sports. Today's action is brought to you by True Value. It's more than our name, it's our way of doing business. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Ebonite, where advanced technology has striking results. And by Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do chicken right. And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis, Indiana. $135,000 True Value Open. Jay Randolph along with Hall of Famer Earl Anthony. We've had 8 300 games this week. If we get one this afternoon, the True Value folks will be happy to cough up $200,000.
That's a lot of bucks, Jay. I know I've been in a position before on national television, a chance to bowl 300. I know how it feels, but for $200,000, I have no idea what that would be like. But the most important thing I think we have to talk about today is the varying lane conditions across the center, especially at the high end of the center where we're bowling on today's TV pair is in the high end of the center. The scores have been higher at this end than they have the other end, but the most important thing to think about in the lane conditions is that they change so drastically and so quickly. The oil carries down very quickly. It makes it very difficult for the players to carry the corner pins. We should see a lot of 10 pins and 4 pins today.
And Earl, we've got a most interesting first match this afternoon. 2 young people with a lot of pressure. Mike Taylor and Randy Harvey, and it will be Taylor to get things underway. 5'8", 160 pounds, qualifying 5th, 214.9 this week. His first career appearance in the TV finals since he joined the tour full-time this year. And he is looking down there at a 4-pin.
And this is just what we talked about earlier, Jay. The players are going to leave a lot of 10 pins and 4 pins. The key to bowling well on the lane condition today, as you watch Mr. Taylor's ball go just a little high on the head pin, the key is to get the ball well down the lane and still try to create a good roll on the back end. They can't play the first part of the lane, the first 15 feet very well. They have to almost throw it over that part.
Taylor, the Californian, converting, and you get your first look at Randy Harvey. Randy, as we mentioned at the top of the program, from South Bend, Indiana, qualifying 4th.
One of 2 left-handers on the telecast today, he and Big Steve Cook. Watch the way Randy gets the ball well out on the lane, well over the head area, first part of the lane.
And a 7-pin. This is the 4th consecutive year that at least one left-hander has appeared in the TV finals here.
Now watch Randy, watch him get to the foul line. He'll stand up very tall at the foul line, get the ball well out over the lane. You see that? And the reason he's doing that is because the first part of the lane tends to create too much friction. The ball hooks too soon, and they have to get it well down the lane, as I mentioned earlier. The problem is trying to still get it to hit or carry the pins, especially the corner pins. Cross lane for the 7-pin.
Well, you can imagine, Earl, what a big day it is for Randy Harvey. His career earnings are $475. 40 years old, his 4th year as a PBA member.
Well, that's kind of misleading, though, Jay, because he really doesn't bowl on the tour. He bowls about 2 tournaments a year. He's a pro shop owner in the South Bend area, and this to him is probably the biggest thrill of his life. At 40 years old, it's going to leave him something to talk about to all his customers for a long time to come.
Yes, sir. No matter where he finishes today, this is the largest paycheck ever for him. And there is his wife, Robbie. She was here rooting for him last night as we watched him in action. She keeps score right along with everybody else.
Again, now, you're going to see 2 extremely different angles being played by the left-handers. You're watching Randy Harvey right now playing somewhere in the vicinity of the 2nd arrow, just inside the 2nd arrow, and trying to get the ball well out on the lane in the air to delay the break point. And it's the hardest thing for him, again, like the right-hander, is going to be carry the corner pin. Steve Cook, on the other hand, who you'll see later in the telecast, throws the ball extremely hard, and he's playing an extreme outside angle and trying to go up at the pins. So we're going to see two distinctly different angles from the left-handers, and we're going to see two distinctly different angles on the lane from the right-handers.
Mike Taylor. And another 7-pin standing.
Mike's kind of laughing about that one. It's he's trying to get the ball to hit the pins hard enough to carry the corners, and he went a little bit early. Watch his hand go over the top a little bit early, and that creates a problem for him because the ball doesn't have any drive in the back. No drive, no 5, and he barely gets to the ball, just barely get to the 5-pin.
This young Californian is in excellent physical condition. They call him Tay-Tay, and he's just 22 from Carlsbad, California. Likes to body serve.
That hurts, Jay. That sand hurts when you get... I don't like to do that kind of stuff. I bruise very easily.
Mark Baker is his roommate on tour these days. He has career earnings of better than $33,000. And there's the first strike of this match.
Both players are playing the lane condition extremely well. They're a little nervous, obviously. They're young players, and get the opportunity to bowl for a first-place check of $21,000 and make anybody nervous, especially on national television. The key here is they're trying to get the ball well out on the lane again and get it to still hit. Now look at those shoes.
Yeah, he's got the toenails painted on the front of them, the shades of Guppy Troop. And a strike for Harvey. And as I mentioned earlier, boy, is he a crowd favorite here. A lot of his friends are down from South Bend rooting for him.
Again, see how far out on the lane he threw that ball, right around the 12-13 board, trying to get it to arc back. Good roll on that one. Really good, strong roll. That's why he carried the 7-pin this time.
He's won some match play tournaments in his home area, and he credits, of course, that competition with helping him. You also indicated that he does run a pro shop and does a lot of instructional work. And another strike for Harvey. Harvey has a 10-pin lead. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
True Value Hardware, it's more than a name.
The Master Mechanic cordless power screwdriver runs at 130 RPM, and you can use it anywhere to drive or remove a variety of screws. Plus, the charging stand keeps it ready for use. In November, the Master Mechanic cordless power screwdriver is only $13.99. Look for the True Value of the Month banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
They come from all over the world to compete for the Budweiser Breeders' Cup in one of horse racing's most prestigious events, the Breeders' Cup Turf. Witness the excitement as the world's best thoroughbreds compete for the Budweiser Breeders' Cup and a $2 million purse. Budweiser, the king of beers, is proud to sponsor this exciting event. And you can see it all on November 21st as NBC covers the Breeders' Cup races live from Hollywood Park in California. Horse racing fans, this Bud's for you.
I see you got one of those rhinos. Next thing you know, he's going to tell us it's got horns.
Unleash your game. Roll a rhino. The Rhino. From Brunswick, a urethane ball designed for professional and high-performance bowlers.
Back here at the Woodland Bowl, Taylor and Harvey have both come through with 3 in a row.
This is the last shot from Harvey, and again, it was just as good as you can roll it. The match is dead even. Both players going spare, 3 in a row. And now Harvey in the 6th frame. Chance to take the lead.
Harvey's 5'9", 200 pounds.
Very strong, very large forearms and wrists. Very strong player.
And the 6-pin is left down there. Good run for Harvey.
Spares have not been difficult this week, which is a key to the consistency of the players. The averages haven't been extremely high, but the matches have been very good because they've been very close. And that's what we all like to watch, a good close match. And the spares, as I mentioned, most of the players have had very little difficulty making their corner pins.
Harvey entered this tournament, as you mentioned, Earl, because it's close to home for him. He also completes in the Toledo Trust PBA National Championship. Mike Taylor up by 1 pin. Oh, and trouble for Taylor. The 4-6-7.
Taylor got off to a tremendous start this week in the qualifying, where he started with 8-10 for his first 3 games, including a 300 game. Now that one, as you could see from that angle, which is a great angle for you to watch the ball release off the hand, he was a little short with it. In other words, it got on the lane too soon, and that's why it hooked a little more. The key for Mike Taylor, and I talked to him before he started, said he had to get the ball well out in the lane, and he could not go away from the pocket. He couldn't arc the ball. He had to keep it on a straight line through the first 15 feet of the lane in order to get the ball into the pocket.
Mike's dad is a PBA member, and remember, he finished second to Mark Roth back in '78. There's the scoreboard. He almost had a real problem again. Leaves the 7. He's down by 14 pins and a little disgusted with himself.
Well, that's a normal reaction. When the player gets one a little high, he tends to get high on the head pin. He tends to give it a little more room the next time. And on this lane condition, it's hard to get the ball to finish well in the pocket. And if you get the ball light, you won't see very many of those striking.
Harvey leads by 14. More in a moment.
If you're looking for racy lines, precise cornering, and a great stereo, Zenith's trim 27-inch designer TVs will put you in the driver's seat. Zenith. Quality.
My mom always made me feel better, no matter what.
My mom was easy to love.
My mom used to sing me to sleep at night. Sometimes I really miss that.
She's beautiful, my mom.
She'd hold me and make it all better again.
My mother's the most gentle person I ever knew. When was the last time you took a picture of your mom?
My Dandruff Shampoo is good.
Maybe you should try something else. My Dandruff Shampoo really works.
Maybe you should try something else, like Selsun Blue. Doctors and pharmacists recommend Selsun Blue more than all other leading brands combined. What that means to you is no leading brand gets rid of dandruff better than Selsun Blue. It's #1.
And all Selsun Blue formulas, including extra conditioning and extra medicated, have the ingredient recommended most by doctors.
I can't breathe.
Before and Afrin.
Better.
What Afrin does in 5 minutes takes Sudafed over an hour.
Blocked.
Before and Afrin.
Unblocked.
It's the #1 recommended nasal spray.
Here we go, Randy. Now watch this shot. He gets it a little bit too wide. You can see the look in his eye. He didn't like it. Watch the ball react. Doesn't quite get back the head pin. He's left himself a very difficult spare. He's going to go cross lane at this. Now he's going to try to get both pins with the ball. If he doesn't, he's made a mistake. But he's going to try to get both with the ball because it's very easy to chop the 3 off the 5.
He struck in the 7th, left the 3-5 here, and he gets him.
That's one of the toughest spares on the lane. Both players are performing extremely well. Consider how much experience they've had on television bowling for this kind of money, Jay.
Taylor averaged 216 on the TV pair. Harvey 194. And Taylor continuing to have problems as he leaves the 4-pin in the 8th.
That was a great shot, though, Jay. He really released the ball well. We're going to get a look at it right now. He gets the foul line in great position, got the ball well out on the lane. Just a little bit too much on the back end, and that's really hard to do on this surface, to get that much on the ball. He's really rolling the ball well. He's very loose.
This week, Mike shot an 8-10 series in his first 3 games of qualifying. That began with a 300 game.
That's a nice way to start.
Oh, sure is. 15-pin lead for Harvey. Taylor looking to be exempt in 88 if he could get going here today. Boy, there's the 10.
And that was a key shot for the young man there, because what he really needed to do at that point was strike, to put any pressure at all on Harvey going into the 10th frame. He rolled it well. He liked the ball when it left his hand, just a little bit behind the head pin, and you see the deflection of the ball, and he leaves the weak 10, what the players call the weak 10, when the pin lays in the channel.
He's wearing pink shoes today, very colorful. 16-pin lead for Harvey.
Harvey right now is going at a 2:18 pace. If he were to just mark in the 9th and 10th with decent count, he would be the winner. Taylor going at a 2:02 pace. In order to put any pressure at all on Harvey, would have to strike out in the 10th. But Harvey has the match in hand. It's up to him.
Harvey began bowling in the junior leagues when he was 12 years old. The 7-pin is standing for him. It's not over yet.
Oh, it's sure not over yet. This was an excellent shot, considering the conditions right now that he's under as far as mental stress and everything that's involved there. This was a great shot. You see the ball deflect. Pin goes up and around the neck of the 7-pin. It was a really, really well-played shot. The hard thing for him right now is to make his spares. Even though I said earlier spares have been not difficult this week, at this point in the match, anything is difficult. Great shot.
And the Harveys have 3 children, Kim, Bobby, and Mike. And Harvey, incidentally, is dedicating his appearance today to his good friend, Ron Van Avermaet, fella he spent a lot of time with and bowled a great deal with, who passed away a short time ago. Now a discussion as he asked for a re-rack, but is he going to get it? It's denied. He asked too late.
The player, when he comes back, so the folks at home would understand why that re-rack was denied. When he comes off the approach, the first thing he is required to do is to check the rack, look at the pins. If he doesn't do that and delays and then looks up and looks at the pins, says, I want to re-rack, it's always denied. Those are the rules of the game, and that's what we all play by.
He had 1 re-rack in the 8th. That's when he left the 3-5.
All right. That's all he needs right now is to make this spare and get good count, Jay. With the spare, he'll be going at a 2:16 pace. Now, this is an excellent shot under the conditions. He got the ball light in the pocket, and as I mentioned earlier, they haven't been striking very well on the light hits. As you see the pin just lay in the channel, not quite get to the 10. Make the spare. He has a 4-pin lead on the most that Taylor can shoot. The most Taylor can shoot is 212. Harvey at a 2:16 pace.
Got there.
It got there, and now, with any kind of a count of 7 pins or better, he's a winner. He needs 7 pins on this ball to be a winner.
It'll be lucky 7 for this young man, and a big day in his bowling career. I know the folks in South Bend, they've been doing a lot of rooting for the Fighting Irish this year. I'm sure they're rooting for this fellow this afternoon. First match. Randy Harvey will advance. And a giant step for him in the victory over Mike Taylor. Taylor coming back with a strike right there. So Randy Harvey has won the first match here in Indianapolis this
In these days of self-service gas stations, computerized banking, and understaffed stores, it seems that no one has the time for personal service anymore. Well, at True Value Hardware stores, we haven't forgotten that we're working for you. And whenever you have a question or a problem with a do-it-yourself project, we'll do our very best to help. So the next time someone wonders where personal service has gone, you tell them it's still hard at work. Right in here. True Value, more than just a name. It's our way of doing business.
It's a tradition as old as the land itself. Your country calls, and you come. Your country asks you to give, and you give. And you do it all because you believe in your country. So to all the men and women who serve, Budweiser is proud to return your salute.
If you could ask
For a truck that'll make you wonder how you ever got along without it, Toyota Standard Bed. The one that sets the standard for compact trucks with the biggest standard payload in its class. And the solid value that makes Toyota #1 in import truck sales. Don't compromise. Don't settle for less than Toyota quality. Now who's looking out for #1?
Toyota.
Harvey is the winner over Mike Taylor, 216 to 211. And Harvey will be going up against Big Steve Cook when we come back. Hope you're enjoying the action from Indianapolis. More in a moment.
Your neighborhood Napa Auto Parts store has more than 125,000 parts for the typical American car. Whatever that is.
This can happen to good bowlers on lanes with limited distance dressing or short oil. Short oil means oil out to here, 26 feet or less from the foul line. Short oil can make your ball react unpredictably, a big problem. Now, the solution from Ebonite, the new Firebolt SO, a urethane ball with a unique additive to make it roll long, hit hard, and not overreact on today's short oil conditions. Ebonite's new Firebolt SO is the solution to the problems of short oil.
Announcing a dramatic breakthrough in shaving technology. The new Remington Microscreen Ultimate shaves as close as a blade and closer than any other electric shaver, or your money back. The Ultimate's exclusive beard lifter gets whiskers other shavers leave behind. And like all Remington Microscreen shavers, the first screen shaves incredibly close, the second even closer. Try the new Remington Ultimate now. It will shave you as close as a blade and closer than any other electric shaver, or your money back.
Tums is one antacid that can really handle heartburn. It's a lot stronger than the #2 brand.
That's one good reason we use Tums. And Tums happens to be rich in calcium.
That's the second good reason.
If you've ever dreamed the dream of a champion, now your sports fantasy may come true on NBC Sports World.
If you've ever dreamed the dream of a champion, now your fantasy may come true. The best of sports fantasy, next.
Been a marvelous week of bowling here at the Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis. This event co-sponsored by the Central Indiana PBA. Randy Harvey against Steve Cook in match #2. There they are.
I'm sure Randy doesn't want to wrestle Steve Cook right now, huh?
No, I'm sure of that. Both these fellows over the 200 mark, but Cook is 6'7", 265. Harvey to begin. 5,000 for Mike Taylor, finishing in the #5 spot. Well, this young man seems up to the task today, Earl. He's really very cool under fire.
He sure is. I'm very impressed with him. And Steve Cook has his hands full. Steve struggled a little bit in practice before the telecast. Each of the bowlers is allowed to practice for about 30 minutes on the pair before they start. And he didn't seem to be real happy with the ball reaction. He's changed balls 3 times already. Let's see how he lines up and how he plays the lanes.
Well, a good opening for Cook, who has been in quite a slump, but has cashed in the first 2 events here on the fall tour.
Steve, a very big, strong player, and you can see he's very upright in the first part of his approach to the foul line. Gets down very low and extends. He has those real long arms. He can really extend down the lane, get a lot of roll on the ball. He has changed his line from when he was practicing. He has moved more to the inside part of the lane. Obviously, he didn't like the ball reaction he was getting when he was playing out near the edge by the channel.
You can see what kind of a slump he's been in. He's only won a little better than 14,000 this year. Very capable gentleman who really attacks.
See what I mean? Boy, he splashed him around down there, didn't he?
Well, it's hard to imagine anybody getting more power on his bowling ball than Steve Cook. As you watch his ball, watch the revolutions. That's as good as you can throw it. Dead solid in the pocket. All 10 pins are gone. I think they're trying to get out of the way of that ball, Jay, when it gets down there.
Well, the way he throws them, a couple of those pins will end up in Carmel, Indiana. We're right on the edge of it.
Harvey leaves the 7.
He's left 3 or 4 of these already, and it doesn't seem to bother him. He's very relaxed. It's amazing as you watch the difference in the rotation of the balls coming in. Remember Steve Cook, how his ball rolled into the pocket with all that power. You see the deflection of Mr. Harvey's ball as it hits almost in the same position in the pin area. He'll go cross lane at the 7 pin. The key for him to stay in this match is to make his spares.
Uh-oh. And Harvey has his first real problem of the day. The jitters have seemed to stay away until this shot.
Right on the edge, just falls off. Bad break for Harvey, great break for Steve Cook, who needs to get out early and get this guy down, and that's what you do with a new young player that's inexperienced. Not necessarily young. 40 is young to me, though, Jay.
Me too. There's only been one winner from the 4th or 5th seed positions in this tournament, Steve Fair, won from the 4th seed spot in '82. And he has got a problem now.
That's disaster at this point. He missed an easy spare, a spare that he hasn't hardly missed all week long, as you see the reaction of his wife. Then the nerves got to him. He helped this ball a little bit. Now look at the rotation on this ball. It's picking up a lot more early roll. It hooks too much for him right through the middle of the head pin. Very difficult spare. The 4, 7, 10. He'll go cross lane, try to slide the 4 into the 10, let the ball take out the 7.
Good effort there.
Good effort, extremely good effort.
Harvey open in the 2nd and 3rd frames. The top 24 finishers this week, we'll take a look at a few of them for you, as we like to bring you up to date. Norm Duke had 2 300 games this week.
Yeah, and Steve Martin just going to turn 29 tomorrow.
Kordick had that big 300 game earlier this year, picked up 100,000 from True Value.
Steve Cook with a 33-pin lead.
And the 10-pin is there for him. They call him the Cookie Monster. And he is big.
He is big. Now look at the release, the strength in that release, tremendous power. You can see the ball rotating. It's trying to come back, doesn't quite get back. And you'll see Steve Cook, his reaction. The 10-pin is standing there. Hey, if he looked at me like that, I'd fall down.
He won this tournament in 1981, finished 14th in '84, 40th in '82, 45th in 86. Spare for Cook. Show you some more of the top finishers. Marshall Holman and Amleto Monticelli, both very well. Mark Roth now, incidentally, only needs $590 to break Earl Anthony's all-time PBA earnings mark.
I wish he'd hurry up and get that over with, Jay.
It won't be long, I don't think. Mats Carlson, the young man from Gothenburg, Sweden. David Ozio. Brian Voss, he was in the top 5 until late and slipped away. And Jess Stayrook, number 6 spot. Cook now in the 4th, leading by 32. And he strikes, and we will be back with more right after these messages from your local station.
Forbidden. Unspeakable. Hunter, city of passion tonight. In Italy, no celebration would be complete without a very special dish called Italian pie. At Pizza Hut, we make our own version of this classic. We call it Priazzo Italian Pie. And now it's even more special. Because for a limited time, when you try any medium or large Priazzo Italian Pie at a regular price, we'll give you a free pitcher of soft drink. Only in America. Only at Pizza Hut.
If you're smart, you'll demand 2 things when you buy records, tapes, compact discs, and movies. Selection and price. I'm Jerry Shulman, and I've got both at my wall-to-wall sound and video stores. I've got everything from Bach to the Beatles to Bon Jovi. I've got an everyday low price guarantee. I've even got a frequent buyers club. So the more records, tapes, and CDs you buy, the more you save. In this business, I've got to be smart. So do you. Wall-to-wall sound and video. Get the price without the problems.
Dr. Joyce Brothers on the next Will Shriner Show.
Monday at 11 on Channel 3.
Steve Cook in the lead here in this second match, up by 22 pins.
Only the 5th frame, though, and Harvey's on a double, so anything can happen yet. Cook knows he's in trouble with the way that Harvey has reacted to being down by as much as he did and came right back with a double. He has to make good shots. Oh, what a bad break. That ball, he rolled extremely well. He really liked the way it came off his hand. He liked the ball reaction, and that's really a bad break. Watch Steve Cook's reaction. Look how crisp he gets his hand on that ball. Good, great form down the line really well. Watch the ball. It actually is hitting too hard. It's driving through the pins too hard. No deflection at all. They go right over top of the 10 pin. Harvey is back in the match at only 22 pins down at this point. Only the 5th frame. Even with the 2 opens, the 2 major mistakes, he still has a great chance to win this match.
22-pin lead for Steve Cook. First championship appearance of the year. In '86, he made the televised finals in the U.S. Open. Won his 9th career title.
There's Mr. Doty, and he's done a great job making this tournament really happen for us. He's the tournament chairman.
And there is the gentleman who will pass out the prize money, Chuck Hauser, True Value Field sales manager.
Big Steve Cook with a strike in the 6th. This could be an exciting match the last 5 frames, Jay, because anything can happen. As you know, Harvey's been throwing a lot of strikes. Yeah.
Defending champion here, Harry Sullins, finished 75th. He defeated Walter Ray Williams 233 to 194 in last year's final. And at that time, it had no more PTQ for Sullins. That's Pro Tour qualifying, of course, for a year. I mean a lot. If Mr. Harvey can continue today, and he does. is, boy, he's come back from those 2 open frames, and he has fired back now with 3 in a row and is only down 12.
That's right. One more strike here in the 7th frame. It's a 2-pin match, and anything can happen.
Along with Earl Anthony, Jay Randolph at the Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis, Indiana, Randy Harvey won the first match, 211 to 216 over Mike Taylor, and Harvey in action now against Steve Cook. Top prize $21,000 here today. It won't go down. That would have been 4 in a row. He leaves the 6-pin, and he looked down there rather disarmingly at it.
My, he really was happy with the shot. It's going in at the right angle to strike. A little bit high in the head pin. As you can see the pin, that's the 3-pin. It's going to the wall, comes back, doesn't quite knock the 6 down. Look at the look in his eyes. Please go. Please fall down. But no such luck today. But it's only a 13-pin match at this point. With the spare, Steve Cook will have a 13-pin lead going into the 7th frame.
He gets the spare, and we'll be back with more from the Woodland Bowl right after these messages.
True Value Hardware Store's best interior paint just got even better. That's because now all 3 True Test Easy Care finishes, flat semi-gloss and flat enamel, are spatter resistant. So now you can give your rooms a rich, lasting coat without making a big mess. And after all, you're supposed to be painting your walls, not yourself. You'll find spatter-resistant True Test Easy Care paint exclusively at most True Value Hardware stores and home centers.
Listen to the sound of a closer, smoother shave. Williams Electric Shave sets up my beard, so my shaver shaves closer, and I get a smoother shave. Listen to Williams Electric Shave. The sound of a closer, smoother shave.
Fancy perfuming aftershave. It's got to be a quarterback's locker. Real guys who get mud on their uniforms use rugged, honest stuff. Ice Blue Aqua Velva.
There's something about today's Aqua Velva man.
So you still think linemen are dumb?
Here's why these New England fishermen take Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine.
When I catch a cold, it's a tough one, and the only thing that seems to help me is Alka-Seltzer Plus.
I get aches and pains, runny nose, nasally, and Alka-Seltzer Plus works every time.
When I get a cold, my head feels like it's 3 feet thick. Alka-Seltzer Plus helps break through, helps me get back on my feet.
Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. Fast, effective relief for tough winter colds.
In a word, it works.
Sunday, the NFL plays here when the Raiders battle the Vikings.
Before your team takes the field, our team hits the air. NFL Live.
Look at this. Now watch the reaction. Remember the power I told you Steve Cook gets on his bowling ball, Jay? And how hard it was to make the ball hit? Watch this. That's something you better keep on your VCRs, folks. You won't see that very often. Now watch the reaction of Steve Cook. Oh my, he says. He can't believe he left the 5-pin in the pocket.
And Cook bowling in the 8th, leading by 13. Got a break there. It looked like he might be looking at a split.
He got a good break there, and that's the natural reaction, as I mentioned earlier, of a player not getting the ball to hit hard enough for him or leaving a corner pin or a weak hit. Now he tries to tighten it up, and he tug it a little bit, and he hits the middle of the head pin, and watch that 7-pin. It's the last pin to go. Just gets it out. It's a big break for Steve Cook. An easy spare, cross lane for the 6-10.
Steve's wife, Candy, expecting their 3rd child next week. Candy is Mike Alby's sister-in-law. Wish them the best of luck, of course. Candy and Steve Cook. Now here is Randy Harvey. He's asked for a re-rack here in the 8th. Is ready to go. What a very, very big pin that
That was in the 8th frame, which the players consider the early foundation shot. Watch how well he gets the ball way out on the lane. You lay that hook, get it well down the lane before it breaks. Good roll on the ball. You don't carry that 6-pin like this off the wall. See the pin come back, kick the 10-pin forward into the 6-pin.
The old slow 6. There it is. He got it.
Now, 9th frame for Harvey. He can reduce the lead of Steve Cook to 1 pin with a strike here.
Harvey down by 11. Left-hander here in the 9th.
All right. He is making shots that are just fantastic. He's really putting it to Steve Cook. Cook has more pressure on him than a lot of people realize. Steve has had a tough year, as you mentioned earlier, Jay, money-wise, making about $14,000 for the year. When you consider that the players spend well over $1,000 a week just to be on the tour, plus they have a family at home, that's a tough year. He needs a good check here. Bail him out for the year. That plus the wife having the baby, he's got a lot on his mind besides bowling. He wants this really bad. Harvey's about ready to have a heart attack back there. He's a little nervous.
But he sure bowled well.
He's bowled extremely well.
And Cook strikes in the 9th.
What a match. We're down to the 10th frame, Jay. Cook's going to finish out first. He has a 1-pin lead. Anything can happen.
You know, without being overly dramatic, we've documented Cook's problems this year. We've talked about Harvey and where he's coming from. There really is a tremendous amount of pressure here in this one.
There is. There it is. A 1-pin lead for Steve Cook. He's bowling in the 10th frame. He'll finish first. He can, by striking out in the 10th, win the match. Nothing Harvey can do. If he doesn't strike, Harvey can win it in the 10th.
Harvey, as you got to look there, I don't think he wants to even look at this ball.
Another bad break for Steve, but the pin's rolling around. Almost. Not quite. Had what they call the messenger going across there. Rolled over and hit the 10. And watch the ball. Watch the 5-pin go in front of the 10. And the pin rolling around on the pin deck. But watch the reaction of Harvey. He's trying not to look. He doesn't want to look. Oh, there it is.
That tells the story right there.
Very important that Steve make this spare and then strike back. To maintain his 1-pin lead. All right, a strike here for Steve Cook would finish the match at 207. Harvey going at a 206 pace. If Steve Cook strikes here, Harvey needs the first strike. If Steve gets 9 or less, we could have a tie. Steve could lose. A lot of things can happen, but there's a very real possibility of a tie, which would then mean a 9th and 10th frame roll-off for the match.
Here's the prize money for the top 5. And, of course, $200,000 from True Value for a perfect game.
All right, very important shot for Steve Cook. He must strike to make Harvey strike on his first ball. All right, now here we are. Steve Cook finishes with an 8 count for 205. Harvey, if he were to get 9 spare strike, we would have a tie. If he gets anything less than 9 on his first ball, Steve Cook's a winner. Think about it that way. If he strikes, he wins. If he gets 9, we could have spare strike tie. If he gets 8, Steve Cook's the winner. 8 or less. He must strike to win. 9 spare strike is a tie.
The most important ball that this gentleman from South Bend, Indiana, has ever thrown, coming up right now.
Right now.
They're gone, and Harvey comes through, and boy, his Mrs. Robbie, is she excited. Here it is, Earl.
Here it is. Now watch the ball. It is driving extremely well. The 5-pin. Remember Cook's ball? He had the 5 go in front of the 10. His ball, actually, Harvey's ball hit even a little harder than Steve's. He got the 5 into the 10, ripped the rack. What a big upset this is. This is one of the biggest upsets in PBA history on television.
Robbie holding back the tears there for her hubby.
He's the winner, Jay.
Well, he has done it. Randy Harvey on a roll here at Indianapolis, and the home folks are really happy. He'll go against Gary Dickinson when we come back with more right after these messages.
Every day, Jack Taylor and Joe Donovan take the same road home. But today, they went a little out of their way.
Give you a hand.
Here's to you, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood-aged Budweiser.
This Bud's
For all the guys who go out of their way.
This Bud's for you.
If you're looking for the only family wagon that gives you front-wheel drive, an available overhead cam fuel-injected V6, a choice of long or short wheelbase, and an unbeatable 770 protection plan, then look no further. It's gotta be the best-selling family wagon in the world, the unequaled Dodge Caravan.
It's gotta be a Dodge.
Don't look up. Don't look up, says who? Well, I'll look up if I got you now, chicken. How many times do I gotta tell you, son? If you want great chicken, go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's the only place to get America's favorite chicken. You see, the Colonel's secret blend of 11 herbs and spices makes every bite's finger-licking good. So hurry up, son. It's waiting for you. Don't want to miss out.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do chicken right.
Birdie.
Our third match of the afternoon. The surprise man in this tournament, Randy Harvey against Gary Dickinson, the veteran. And they're getting set to roll here in the third match of the day. And this certainly is inexperience against experience, no question about that.
They don't get any easier. Steve Cook was very tough. He's a very experienced player, and Harvey got through that one with some clutch shots in the 9th and 10th frame. Gary Dickinson is the epitome of what we call a stroker. He's very seldom out of play, keeps the ball in the pocket area, makes his spares extremely well.
This is an NBC News special report. Here is Connie Chung in New York.
Good afternoon. In just a few moments, Douglas Ginsburg is expected to announce he is withdrawing his name as President Reagan's nominee to the Supreme Court. Let us go now live to the White House, where White House spokesman Marlins Fitzwater was about to introduce Justice Ginsburg. Well, we will come back to that in just a moment. Chris Wallace is there, and I'll be talking with him in just a minute. Ginsburg had admitted Thursday that he had smoked marijuana in the 60s and as recently as 1979 while he was a professor of Harvard Law School. And yesterday, Education Secretary William Bennett called Ginsburg and urged him to withdraw his name. President Reagan, who had earlier indicated he would stand by his nominee, said in an interview yesterday that he might not have chosen Ginsburg had he known about the marijuana use. And Ginsburg's support among conservatives on Capitol Hill was beginning to erode. His supporters became his detractors. And liberals, oddly enough, were defending his marijuana use, calling it irrelevant, most of them, but still critical of the extent of his qualifications, his experience. White House correspondent Chris Wallace is there now. Chris, what can you tell us?
Well, we're told that at 2:55, Connie, that Judge Ginsburg will come out and make a written, read a statement in which he will announce that he is withdrawing his nomination to the Supreme Court. He has been here at the White House for the last 15 or 20 minutes going over language with White House officials, and it is, of course, reminiscent of that time about a month ago when Judge Bohr came here on a Friday afternoon to say that he was going to stay in the contest here in the White House briefing room. So we do expect that in about 6 minutes from now. We are told that Judge Ginsburg called the president at Camp David at 11:30 this morning and asked that his nomination be withdrawn. This came after just a steady drum roll in the last 44 hours of demands from conservatives, especially that Ginsburg withdraw after the revelation that he had indeed smoked marijuana in the 1960s and 70s. White House and administration officials tell NBC News that the new frontrunner for the job, the new frontrunner to replace Justice Powell as the Supreme Court Justice is federal judge Anthony Kennedy. Kennedy, as you may remember, was one of the two final candidates along with Ginsburg, and the president chose 9 days ago. It's amazing it happened so quickly. Just 9 days ago, chose Ginsburg over Kennedy. We're told that at this point, Kennedy is now the front runner for the job.
Chris, Howard Baker had never been in favor of Ginsburg. Was it Kennedy who Howard Baker was pushing ever since this latest incident occurred with Ginsburg?
I'm sorry, ask your question again if you could, Connie. There's quite a lot of noise here.
Howard Baker had never supported Ginsburg, and was it Kennedy that he was supporting and was pushing this time around?
That's right. In fact, what it came down to is a kind of climactic meeting in the Oval Office at 9:30 on the Thursday 9 days ago, with the president meeting with Chief of Staff Howard Baker and also with Attorney General Meese. Baker was pushing federal Judge Kennedy, among other reasons, because he said he would be more confirmable. He's in his 50s, has a longer record on the court, but Meese said that you needed a true believer and that this was going to perhaps be the last chance of the president to tip the balance of the court, and he believed that Ginsburg would be a conservative. So there was quite a battle right there, and a number of White House officials were not very happy with that choice, felt that the president had gone for ideology over practical politics, and at a time when he was fighting on a host of issues, that he has a summit upcoming with Mikhail Gorbachev, when he's fighting Congress over the budget, when he's also dealing with him on the Contras, that the last thing he needed was another bitter, divisive battle over the Supreme Court. But the president decided that this would, in fact, be his last chance to try to find a judge who was agreed with his judicial philosophy and could go on the court, tip the balance of the court, and so he went with Ginsburg. And I have to tell you, there are an awful lot of people here in the White House today who are very unhappy that the president made that choice and precipitated the last 9 days, which are really something of a humiliation for this administration.
But never did the administration expect to find this particular disclosure concerning marijuana. The FBI had done background checks, interviewed a number of people, but nothing turned up. Nothing turned up. And in addition to that, Chris, isn't it true that Ginsburg was questioned and asked if there was anything embarrassing in his background? And he said only his relations with his ex-wife could prove embarrassing and didn't reveal the marijuana use.
Well, we are told that, Connie, and in fact there is some second-guessing and some animus against Ginsburg today, some feeling here at the White House and in the Justice Department that Ginsburg didn't come clean, that he was asked, is there anything in your record, sort of the final question, is there anything in your record that could be embarrassing and that could come back and hurt this nomination, and that Ginsburg did just mention his personal relations with his ex-wife. He did not mention the use of marijuana in the 60s or 70s, and there's some feeling that, as one White House official here today was saying, you've got to know at this point, in this day and age, with the pursuit of Democrats in the Senate and also with what happens here in the media, if there's anything embarrassing out there, it's going to come out. So tell us sooner rather than have it come out later.
And, Chris, while we're on the question of embarrassment, it is embarrassing for President Reagan in light of the First Lady's campaign against drugs.
We are also told that Mrs. Reagan was also very upset about this. In fact, we just had a conversation with one White House official, a conservative, who was saying that he was talking...
Judge Ginsburg will be here in 2 minutes.
Well, you may have just heard the announcement here in the briefing room that Judge Ginsburg will be in the briefing room in 2 minutes, that Education Secretary Bennett talked with this conservative official here at the White House yesterday, and one of the things they discussed was that the revelation of Ginsburg's marijuana use was a disaster for the anti-drug program. How could Mrs. Reagan and the president and members of the administration go out and just say no to drugs at a time when they were appointing someone to a lifetime position on the highest court in the land who admitted to using drugs? So that was a consideration.
All right. Chris, also Ginsburg's disclosure of his marijuana use has prompted other true confessions. Senator Albert Gore, a Democratic presidential candidate, admitted that he smoked marijuana several times during college and while serving in the Army in Vietnam, but he said he has not used marijuana for the past 12 years. And Georgia Republican Congressman Newt Gingrich revealed that he smoked marijuana once, almost 2 decades ago, and he said it didn't have any effect on him. In just a few moments, as Chris Wallace has been reporting, Douglas Ginsburg is expected to announce that he's withdrawing his name as President Reagan's nominee to the Supreme Court. Chris Wallace also reports that Anthony Kennedy of California will probably be the nominee. Chris Wallace, you're still there. Can you tell me when you think Kennedy will be named as the nominee.
Just to correct you, we're not saying he's going to be the nominee. We're saying he is the front runner. And I think anyone who has followed the extraordinary process by which the president has chosen these two earlier nominees would say, let's be very cautious and wait to see who he finally chooses. The White House is saying they want to get this thing out quickly to end the Ginsburg flap and get people focusing on a new nominee. And at this point, they're saying, look to early next week.
All right. Thank you, Chris. I misspoke that. William Wilkins is another under consideration from South Carolina.
Yeah, that would be another choice. He was, we were told, the third nominee. He was being pushed especially by Senator Strom Thurmond of South Carolina, who said that there should be a Southerner on the bench. There is not now one. On the other hand, the feeling here at the White House is that there were a number of Southern Democrats who went against Bork on the grounds there should have been a Southerner, and if you did, in fact, put a Southerner on, it would be rewarding people who had gone against the White House. So I'd have to say again, although it's certainly not by any stretch a done deal, that Anthony Kennedy, sources tell NBC News, is the clear front-runner at this point for the nomination.
All right. And President Reagan had said in an interview that he did yesterday that of those three, at the time when he was considering Ginsburg, Kennedy, and Wilkins of South Carolina, his quote was, "Sometimes I thought you could have put their names on the wall and thrown a dart."
Well, I'm sure there's some people here at the White House who wish that he had thrown a dart at Ginsburg and not chosen him instead. We're told now that Marlon Fitzwater and Judge Ginsburg are coming in, so let's go to that.
Thank you, Chris.
I have today asked President Reagan not to forward my nomination to the Supreme Court. I was deeply honored to have been chosen by the President and will always be grateful to him. I was looking forward to sharing with the American people my views about justice and about the role of the courts in our society. Unfortunately, all of the attention has been focused on our personal lives, and much of that on events of many years ago. My views on the law and on what kind of Supreme Court justice I would make have been drowned out in the clamor. The President and Mrs. Reagan deserve enormous credit for leading the fight against illegal drugs. I fully support their effort, and I hope that the young people of this country, including my own daughters, excuse me, will learn from my mistake and heed their message. For my part, I plan to continue to serve on the Court of Appeals for many years to come and to uphold the principles of our Constitution. Thank you.
What did the president say? The FBI. Okay.
Thank you. Judge Douglas Ginsburg, as expected, announced that he is withdrawing his name as a nominee to the Supreme Court. He said that he had been looking forward to sharing his views, but too much attention had been focused on his personal life, and it had all been drowned out, his views and his experience. Chris Wallace, are you ready to talk with us now? Well,
I am
very brief, but he said it all. He said that young people, he hopes, will heed urgings by the President and Mrs. Reagan to not use drugs. Chris?
Yes, and we do have some more news for you, Connie. We've just had a statement issued, a written statement from the President. Let me read it to you. It says, "With regret, I have received today Judge Ginsburg's decision to withdraw his name from further consideration. Judge Ginsburg believes that a prolonged confirmation process will not benefit the nation or the court. I commended Judge Ginsburg for his record and qualifications when I announced his selection, and I commend his selflessness and clear thinking now. I will move promptly to name another nominee to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court." And if you read behind those lines, it really says it all, that the White House simply felt that they could not take another bitter battle as they had on Robert Bork that would carry this thing over well into December, possibly into next year, and that the Ginsburg nomination had been fatally damaged, and the best thing to do simply was to acknowledge that, to withdraw the nomination, and to put out another name very quickly.
Chris, it's really a quick end for Ginsburg. It was only 9 days ago that he was nominated, and with the Bork nomination and how it went, White House officials must be wondering how they could have allowed another botched attempt to occur.
Well, there is a lot of second guessing here. Of course, people at the White House say they didn't allow it to occur. In fact, it was the Justice Department. There's a lot, quite frankly, of finger pointing here, saying this was Ed Meese's choice, that Howard Baker, the White House Chief of Staff, was against it. Not that he knew about the drug taking, but that he felt felt that this man had so little in the way of a positive record, and that there were some negative things out there about him, that it was simply too chancy a nomination, and that at a time when, as I said earlier, when there were so many things that, so many battles that the president had to fight, that this was the last thing he needed. So there is some feeling of finger-pointing here, as I said earlier, some feeling that Ginsburg did not come clean in the screening process, and then in addition that Ed Meese did not exercise his best judgment. But in the end, you know, it really does come down to the president. He was in the room with Meese and Baker when they went over the names. He was given the choice of Kennedy, who was considered more moderate, had a better record, or a longer record in any case, and was thought to be easily confirmable. And it was the president who decided in the end to go with Judge Ginsburg.
All right, Chris Wallace, thank you very much, Chris. Once again, you say that the front runner, according to your White House sources, is Anthony Kennedy of California. When will an announcement, do you think, will be made?
Well, we are told again, the president in his statement said that he will move promptly to name another nominee to fill the vacancy. Senior officials are telling NBC News to look to sometime early next week.
All right, thank you very much. Chris Wallace reporting live from the White House. Once again, Douglas Ginsburg has withdrawn his name as a nominee to the U.S. Supreme Court. President Reagan is expected to announce a replacement, a new nominee, sometime early next week. We'll have more on this story tonight on NBC Nightly News. Be sure to join us then. I'm Connie Chung, NBC News, New York.
This has been an NBC News special report.
Dickinson is open. And an opportunity for Harvey. And he has made the opportunities happen today. Every time he had been given up for lost, he's been able to battle back, and now he has an opportunity to take a giant step toward victory here.
Yes. It was the 8th frame, you left it 310.
And there's the 7.
Boy, that breathes a little life back into Gary Dickinson, who the most Gary can shoot at this point. He's completed 8 frames. He can shoot 207. And you see Harvey's ball going into the pocket area, a little deflection. It was a great shot under the circumstances. You watch Gary, he's checking the scoreboard. Harvey going at a 208 pace right now. Dickinson, the most he can shoot is 207. For the spare in the 8th, cross lane at the 7 pin. Look out. All right, great coverage.
Along with Earl Anthony, Jay Randolph, the True Value Open at Woodland Bowl, Indianapolis, Indiana. Surprise package, Randy Harvey and Gary Dickinson going at it here in the 3rd match of the afternoon. Harvey up by 21 pins.
Pin count again, very important at this point. Harvey with a strike will maintain a lead and pin count of 1 pin, a total lead of 21.
He continues to battle the odds big here this afternoon.
Well, you can say that again, Jay, and I'm really impressed with the way he's performed. You have to realize this guy only bowls 2 tournaments a year, and it's only been doing that for the last 4 years as a professional. And here he is with an opportunity to go by Gary Dickinson, one of the toughest in the game. But it's not over yet. Dickinson will finish first. He has to have them all. He likes that.
And he is still very much in it.
That's the experience of a really tough tour veteran. He knows he has to have them all. He made the extremely good shot. His fundamentals are fantastic. He got through the ball well, got a great roll on the back end, carried out the 10 that time. But that just puts him in position. As you can see, he's down by 21 points. If he goes out in the 10th with 3 strikes, he'll have 207. That will put the pressure back on Randy Harvey to perform again in the 10th frame. And if he can do it twice in a row like he did against Steve Cook, boy, that's going to be something to see, Jay. All right, first of all, Gary Dickinson. He has to have all strikes in the 10th frame. Oh, my. He didn't like that one. When he released it, you could see by the look in his eye. It didn't come off his hand the way he wanted to. He knew it wasn't going to roll well. He was hoping he'd get lucky there, Jay.
Well, he left the 5-7 in the first frame, and here it is again in the 10th.
And watch the ball deflect as it hits the pins. Watch, this is Gary Dickinson's ball. Hit the head pin and bounce to the right. And when that happens, you've got to get that ball to hit that 5-pin. He must make this spare to have any chance whatsoever. And he makes it look easy, doesn't he?
Oh, I'm telling you, that's the second fine conversion of this match.
Still alive, although it doesn't look good for Gary. Look at this shot, folks. Now, this is this is accuracy. This is consistency, and Gary does it as good as anybody in the game.
That was an exact duplication of that first frame.
What it comes down to now, regardless of what Gary does here, and he strikes, Harvey just has to stay behind the foul line more than anything else. If he can keep the ball in the lane, he's a winner. He doesn't want to foul, he doesn't want to throw it in the channel. And a professional bowler, that happens about once every blue moon. They have blue moons anymore?
Sure do.
Oh, okay. All right. Harvey to be a winner. Keep it on the lane. Don't foul. That's about it.
Well, he continues on a magnificent march here at Woodland Bowl. Harvey, a winner, and he will face Ron Palombi Jr. in the title match.
Mom's magic meatloaf is weighing on you like a ton of bricks. Send the bubbles of Alka-Seltzer to the rescue. Because speed is what you need to lift the heaviness off your stomach and relieve your pounding headache fast.
Alka-Seltzer to the rescue.
In the 1988 Olympic Games, something special will happen. Every American athlete will bring home the gold. Gold-tipped, long-lasting Kodak batteries. The official batteries of the 1988 Olympic Games.
Now you can get Kodak batteries at Kmart, the saving place.
If you could add for Toyota quality and get a truckload of free options. Free chrome bumpers, style steel wheels, sports striping, full carpeting, cloth bench seats, all free. $555 worth of free options. The new limited edition Toyota trucks. Buy Toyota quality first. The money you save is yours to play with. Now who's looking out for number one? Toyota. Who could ask for anything more?
I had to try this to believe it. Denerex tingles. Tells me it's doing more. Selsun Blue, no tingle.
Both Denerex and regular Selsun Blue have dandruff medicine, but Denerex adds an extra anti-itch medicine.
So long, Selsun Blue. Hello, Denerex.
If you've ever dreamed the dream of a champion, now your sports fantasy may come true on NBC Sports World.
If you've ever dreamed the dream of a champion, now your fantasy may come true. The best of sports fantasy, next.
Randy Harvey with a score of 227, defeating Gary Dickinson, who had 187, and Harvey now going into the title match against Ron Palombi Jr. Next week, let's remind you, we'll be at Glendale Heights, Illinois, the Northern Bowl, one of the classic events on the fall tour, the $200,000 Brunswick Memorial World Open, a bowling event with great international flavor. Hope you'll join us next Saturday afternoon here on NBC. Randy Harvey, he's the challenger. What a story here this afternoon. And Ron Palombi Jr., who finished in the #1 spot after last night's position round, and they are set to go. First prize, $21,000. The loser in this match gets $12,000. Harvey with victories over Mike Taylor, Steve Cook, and Gary Dickinson. And can he get it all? He's been a very resilient bowler this afternoon.
Oh, what a great way to start for him. He tugged that ball a little bit, pulled it a little bit up high on the head pin, had the good roll on the ball again, tripped out the 6.
Here's Palombi, 6'3" and 190 and 25 years of age from Erie, Pennsylvania. Career earnings of over $154,000. Talented athlete. Second appearance in the TV finals this year. Both men open with strikes. As always, NBC's uninterrupted coverage of this final match. Fourth year on tour for Palombi.
The extreme differences in the styles. Gary Dickinson in the last match laid the ball down on the lane, tried to get it into a roll and keep it on a line with good extension of his release point. Ron Palombi stands up at the foul line, plays a much more inside line, more to the center of the lane, and throws the ball well out of the lane with tremendous wrist action in the release.
You can see that one hooked back, but there is the 7-10 split.
And we talked about how hard it was to get the ball to finish in the back end, and this is the reason Ron Palombi led the tournament, is because he could make it finish when other players couldn't. The bad luck of this shot, you see the ball hit the 5, drive it in front of the 7, and leave the 7-10.
Ron took over first place after the third round and was on top all the way from there.
Well, let's see if Harvey can continue to take advantage of the mistakes of his opponents, which he has done so far in the first 3 matches, Jay.
He's not only had the ability to do that, but he's been able to rebound from his own mistakes.
Even more important, you're right. His concentration has been great. He's made shots under pressure that I just can't imagine that anyone with his lack of experience and this level of play could do. And he has really taught me a lot today. He's been great. Something bothered him. Just a loud noise down to the right.
Should mention the top seeds in '87 have won 16 of the 31 events. This event will have the 26th champion in 32 tournaments on the year. Can it be this gentleman from South Bend, Indiana? He's looking at a toughie.
It's amazing, isn't it, how this game goes up and down? The players both threw extremely good balls in the first 2 frames. Palombi got the bad break on the 7-10 in the pocket. As you see Harvey go to the foul line, he threw the ball the way he wanted to. You could tell by the look in his eye he liked it. The ball actually hits too hard and leaves the 6-8, another pocket split. Both players getting a bad break. The difference is this one's makeable. He's going to try to slide the 6-pin into the 8. The ball will take out the 6. The 6-pin will slide over and take out the 8-pin. Let's see if he can do it. Not enough hook, Jay.
Sports World coming up next, except on the West Coast, and the encore performance today of Sports Fantasy. Mr. and Mrs. George Harvey, Randy's parents, on hand today. His young son Mike is somewhere in the audience too. Lurking around out there. Harvey has improved in every match today. Opened with a 216, followed it with a 224, and then the 227. Well, after being open, he strikes back. This young lady rooting for her hubby. Boy, she was here rooting last night. I watched her in action. Ron Palombi. He averaged 217.5 on the TV pair. Remember, Harvey only 194. This one banged right down there, didn't it?
Yeah, you'll hear the noise of the ball hitting the lane. That's because both players are trying to get the ball well out over the foul line to delay the roll. They want it to get way down the lane and keep it on line. On the on line, I mean, they want it to go straight down the lane. They know they can't cross board. I see that ball go way down the lane, trying to turn, and finally does. That's great wrist strength. And Palombi can get a lot on a bowling ball.
Ron was in the finals 4 times last year, finished 3rd at the Budweiser Classic. wants very much to win his second title here today and get back to the Firestone.
All right, he was light last time in this. Great
no
shot.
problem there.
Great
Boy.
shot.
2 in a row for Palombi.
Well, he's got the early lead. Harvey has a chance to strike in the fourth and tie it up again. This could be a great match, and each match that Harvey's been in has been a great match down to the final few frames. Frank Ellenberg, you know, was working with us. Is 35 today, Jay. It's his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Frank. Very talented gentleman.
All right, remember the last time on this lane he left the 6/8, the split. Basically the same shot, doesn't get the bad break. It's a little higher in the head pin, and that's why he didn't leave the 6/8. He got the break, left an easy spare, the 6/10. He knows it's going to be high. Look at the look on his face. He's happy with that, with that, Jay.
Here's a fellow picking up tons of experience today.
Yeah, he probably won't bowl again until next year, though. He's got a very successful business in the South Bend area. He's happy with that.
Jim Doty, the tournament chairman, he has to enjoy what's happened here all week and this afternoon.
This is just about the first time in the last 11 months he's had a chance to sit down and really relax as far as the tournament's concerned. You work hard all year, Jay. You know, you put in all those months of hard work, and then finally it's down to where it's not even in your hands anymore. You just hope that everybody has a good time on the telecast.
Well, and you know about that. You have a tournament out there in Dublin.
We sure do, and we're working very hard for it right now. We'll be again in June. We're looking forward to that. All right, here we are. Harvey in the 5th frame, down by 10 pins on a spare.
Harvey, incidentally, will bowl next week at Glendale Heights, Illinois. Here's fine finish here.
I would think he can get into that tournament.
Yeah, I would think so. Mr. Hauser from True Value Hardware, who will handle the presentation today. Have some wonderful sponsors on this fall tour, and NBC really enjoys the opportunity to cover these great stars.
What a great shot.
Got the bit in his mouth now. That's 3 in a row for him.
What a great shot. He takes a 20-pin lead. They both players through 5 frames, as you can see on the scoreboard. Remember, Harvey's been in this position before, where he's been down, he's come back dramatically. Palombi knows that. He's, I'm sure, been amazed at the way Harvey has advanced. If you had to pick someone he thought he was going to be bowling for the championship, I imagine he would have thought either Gary Dickinson or Steve Cook based on their experience. I'm sure he's as surprised as anyone else that Harvey has done as well as he's done. Something to the right. Oh, we had somebody walking down by the lanes there, bothering him a little bit. Did the right thing. Set the ball down, take a deep breath, relax, get everything together again. For 4 in a row.
And he is really got himself focused now. And he handled that little problem there with his concentration in fine fashion. He waited and he was ready.
Now watch this. How well he projects the ball out on the lane. Great balance at the foul line. As you mentioned earlier, Jay, he's a hell of an athlete.
Oh, he is a dandy. Yeah. Fine young man.
I wonder if he's tiring a little, Jay.
He might be.
There's a lot of pressure out there, and you don't tire physically so much as the mental pressure just kind of just drags it out of you, and you get to the point where you just can't quite perform the way you did earlier. He's going to have to get it back together here because he's in a lot of trouble right now. Tough spare, the 2-7. He's going to go cross lane. He's actually going to use a little bit of the left side of the lane, which is going to make it a little more difficult to pick up. Let's see how he handles it. He's impressive, isn't he?
Time and time again.
Time and time again.
He's done the job.
Spares aren't going to do it in this match. Doesn't look like, though. He's going to have to throw some strikes. As you see the replay of the spare, the ball hits the 2-pin, deflects into the 7. That's the way it's supposed to be done. He's going to have to start striking. He's in his 7th frame now. He's down by about 30 pins at this point, and it's getting late. And again, he's high on the head pin, which most of his last 3 or 4 shots have been. He left a 6-8 in the 2nd frame. He left a 6-pin in the 4th frame. He comes back with a baby split in the 7th, or 6th, excuse me. And you see the ball cutting through the pins, leaving only the 6-pin, almost the 6-8 again. He seems to have lost a little bit of the ball speed or something. And normally it's the ball speed. When you tire a little bit, you're not quite as firm with it, and the ball breaks a little sharper in the back.
Well, he's had a wonderful run here this afternoon.
And it's not over yet. Palombi has a lot of frames to bowl. He has to pay attention. But as you say, Jay, Randy Harvey's got a great deal to be proud of. And when he goes back to that pro shop, he can hold his head very high. He performed extremely well, no matter where he finishes. Palombi on 4 in a row, going for number 5.
Oh, boy. Last fall, he made the top 24 4 of 5 times on the fall tour with 1 show. Finished 3rd at the Budweiser Classic. Harvey was going very, very well, but I think you might have hit it right on the head, Earl. He might be tiring a little bit. It's hot under these lights, and he's had to come all the way.
He has. This is his 4th match this afternoon. He's been under those lights for the better part of an hour and a half. And he's checking the score up there, and he's thinking, I'm running out of frames. I need some help from Palombi. He has to make a mistake to keep me in this match, and he does not making mistakes.
Well, he leaves the 10-pin there on a ball that looked very, very good.
That was a great run. The middle of the match. He goes 5 consecutive strikes. Watch this ball break very sharply on the back. And right around the neck of the 10. He threw it extremely well. Just a bad break.
Ron averaged 217.5 on the TV pair, 18 cashes in 27 events this year.
He told me earlier, Jay, that the key for him to bowl well on this pair was to throw the ball very firm, extremely hard, good speed, and get it well out on the lane in the air to delay the break point and keep the ball on line, which we've discussed all afternoon. You see Randy Harvey, he's been doing the same thing on the left side of the lane that Ron Palombi's trying to do on the right side. And he's been very successful up to this point. In the 8th frame, on a spare.
Well, he made the adjustment.
He's throwing the ball extremely well. I think he was just a little soft with the shot, didn't quite have that firm ball speed. It may be too little too late, Jay. He's 40 pins behind with two frames to play. In the 9th frame now, on a strike. Harvey doesn't have really much else he can do. He can strike out for 217. He has to have strikes the rest of the way to have any chance at all to win the championship.
That about does it for him, I'm afraid.
I think so. That's disaster, and he knows it. But he should hold his head high, and I'm sure he will. He's done extremely well.
The second prize, $12,000. Nice.
I'm sure she'll get her head up a little later, too, Jay, when she realizes how well her husband has done, and I know Mike, his son, is very proud of him.
Well, I know everybody in bowling has got to be thrilled at what happened. There's his mom and dad, and he came in here this week just to gain some more experience and did that, and it's going to pick up $12,000. This fellow's been some kind of tough. Ron Palombi is our winner here at the Woodland Bowl, and we'll be back at the presentation. That's coming up right after this.
True Value Hard where it's more than a name.
The Master Mechanic cordless power screwdriver runs at 130 RPM, and you can use it anywhere to drive or remove a variety of screws. Plus, the charging stand keeps it ready for use. In November, the Master Mechanic cordless power screwdriver is only $13.99. Look for the True Value of the Month banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
A bowler's greatest enemy, lane conditions. Difficult, changing, unpredictable. But there's a ball that handles it all. The AMF angle. Urethane control, urethane hitting power. Devastating on any lane condition. #1 total winner on the Winter Pro Tour over the past 5 years. Don't be left in the past. Hundreds of thousands of bowlers have chosen the black angle to get better scores. The AMF black angle at your bowling pro shop. The angle strikes again.
You want anything?
How about a light?
Whoa. Oh, Bob. Could you make that a Bud Light?
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Did you see? No.
Did you?
No.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
The Woodland Bowl, a big victory for Ron Palombi Jr. as he wins it over Randy Harvey. There's our final score, and here is the champion. And Ron, this was some match. You were really, really tough in the middle.
Well, the way Randy bowled the first 3 matches, I said, I got to go out there and strike. And I didn't have much in practice, and took my ball back and sanded it to create some hook, and thank God it worked.
Well, it did work, and I know we all want to congratulate Randy. Nice going. It was a wonderful day for you. Ron, this is your second victory, and every victory I know means a lot. You really were on top of your game here this week.
Well, it's been 3.5 years since I won, and I've had a few TV appearances since then, but haven't been able to pull off that title, and I'm very, very grateful for this.
Well, here's the hammer right here, the golden hammer. Chuck Hauser of True Value to present it.
Ron, on behalf of the over 6,000 True Value hardware store owners all across the United States, on behalf of them, I present to you this golden hammer, which is a symbol of excellence in our industry. And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And True Value, of course, does a great job with their special awards for 300 games. Jim Doty, very quickly, $21,000.
Oh, Ron, from the Bowling Players Association of Central Indiana, I'd like to give you this check for $21,000. Congratulations, Ron.
Thanks very much, Jim. God, that looks great.
It does look good. And very quickly, a final comment from Earl Anthony.
Well, I was very impressed with the way you adjusted to the change in the lane conditions. They were a lot tighter today, you mentioned earlier.
Oh, they're definitely a lot tighter. I was about 10 boards further right today than I have been all week. And I used a ball I haven't used since the first night match play, and it really came through today.
Congratulations. Nice going, and thanks to all of you. The PBA Tour has been sponsored by True Value. It's more than a name, it's our way of doing business. And by Toyota Trucks, setting the standard for quality and value. By Brunswick, proud sponsors of Team USA and supporters of bowling in the Olympics. And by Bud Light, everything else is just a light. Join us next week from Glendale Heights, Illinois. This has been a presentation of Bub Sports and the